Hello boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, this is Defub21 and today we have a new trailer from DICE. This is the developer owned by Electronic Arts, responsible for the Battlefield games. They were also responsible for last year's Star Wars Battlefront. And this is an announcement for their new Battlefield game called Battlefield 1. It's been announced as part of a kind of a press conference they're currently holding. I think at the time of recording it's still going on. But I thought I should bring you the announcement trailer for this new game as quickly as possible. So that is what I am doing. We'll take a look and then I'll let you know what I think.
Play it first on Xbox.
Well, it's definitely set during the First World War, all right. First thoughts off the top of my head, from what my inquiries I had done as part of sourcing this trailer that I've done online, apparently they are claiming that this is all rendered in-engine using the Frostbite engine. That may be true. But if you think that that trailer is representative of what the game is going to look like, particularly on next-gen console or on current-generation console, there's no chance at all. If you look at what Star Wars Battlefront looks like on the Xbox One and the PS4, that is much more likely what you're going to get. If it gets anything like that level of visual fidelity on PC, my guess is you'll be looking at you'll either need a multi-graphics card based setup with a very high-end, high CPU core count processor on top of it, probably running Windows 10 with DirectX 12, which has gotten some major performance boosts or efficiency boosts over Windows 7 and DirectX 11 to get anything like that level of visual fidelity. That, of course, is doesn't take into account the fact that there's a whole batch of next-gen graphics cards coming from NVIDIA and AMD the second half of this year, and they may represent a massive jump. There's some rumors that are going about that the next high-end NVIDIA card might have as much as 16 gigs of video RAM on it, which would be absolutely insane, but is technically possible with the new HBM, effectively high bandwidth memory tech that NVIDIA is going to be adopting with their next gen high-end graphics cards, and AMD has already done so with their current high-end cards, although it's only first generation high HBM, not generation 2. There's various technicalities, I won't go into it here. It looks, again, the trailer looks really, really good, but those sequences, yeah, they may be rendered in engine, but they might as well be CGI. It might give you, how representative what the game, again, at this point, after what happened with The Division, the original trailer, and even the original, announcement for Watch Dogs, what those games looked like then and what they actually ended up looking like on final versions in the consoles. There's persistent rumors on both games that the PC versions were intentionally toned down graphics-wise to make not to avoid making the Xbox One and the PS4 look bad. But both those systems are somewhat underpowered, and I think we're now getting acknowledgement of that, certainly from Sony with the PS 4K, and we may see a new improved version of the Xbox One in the not too distant future as well. But Yeah, I mean, it's. I'll put it. I'll give credit where credit is due. I think the whole modern warfare type, game set in the modern era or not in the not too distant future, have kind of run their course. I think people are bored of them now to the point they were with World War II games, back kind of in the early stages of the 360 and PlayStation 3 era. Activision with Call of Duty is particularly, as we've seen with the most recent one that they've announced, Call of Duty Infinity War, seems to be going all science fiction-y. I'm not really sure people want that. Titanfall was made by Respawn, who were effectively created by the founders of Infinity Ward, who are making the most this year's Call of Duty, again Call of Duty Infinity War, and is staffed by a huge number of Infinity Ward ex-employees. So they made Titanfall. That was a science fiction shooter. It didn't do too well for them, although admittedly the Xbox One's less than underperformed expectations and has really much since day one of its existence, and things haven't really, they've been turned around a bit but not enough. And either way you look at it, I'm not really sure if kind of science fiction is the way for the kind of Call of Duty / Battlefield games. And DICE and EA seem clearly to have taken the risk of going in the exact opposite direction, which is they've gone back to World War One. You got to remember, during World War One, assault rifles, not even assault rifles, submachine guns were, not very common until later stages of the war. Most infantry had bolt-action rifles, and machine guns were all these big, heavy, water-cooled Maxim guns of one kind or another. The airplanes were literally made out of balsa wood and canvas. The list goes on. You had blimps. Were used in early strategic bombing, and particularly against the Brits. The list goes on and on. This is certainly the first big budget AAA World War One based shooter that we have seen. Certainly that I can remember ever. So it'll be very interesting in that respect, and hopefully there'll be a lot of. Yes, whether they're gonna, how dramatically they're gonna deviate from the existing kind of first-person shooter Battlefield / Call of Duty formula in terms of, unlocks for your character, better weapons, better sights for your weapons and so on. How you can really apply that to First World War weaponry, I honestly don't know. How you can do, there's a whole. Yeah, it'll be very. are they gonna basically try and rewrite the book, or are they just gonna massively, shake it up and massively reorder things? I don't know. Although it should be said as well that they don't. It's not necessarily as much of a risk for them to do this as it would be, say, for instance, for Activision, because they've got the Star Wars license, and I would assume next year's first-person shooter from DICE will be Battlefront 2, Star Wars Battlefront 2, or at least their new. There was already a Star Wars Battlefront 2, but the sequel to last year's Star Wars Battlefront 2, which will be on the current gen hardware and on PC. It's it looks nice, but it's definitely not going to look like that on the existing consoles. Maybe PS4K will be more capable and it'll look better on that. But it's again credit for it's a risk. It's a big risk. I think it's the right risk to take. I think Call of Duty has been in trouble for quite some time. It's been in decline for quite some time. I haven't bought a new Call of Duty game in a couple of years. I'm still thinking, do I really want to spend even just 25 to 30 quid on Black Ops 3? I'm certainly got, the announcement trailer for Infinity War from Call of Duty Infinity War hasn't really excited me in any way. So this is the right decision to make. It's a risky decision. Credit where credit is due, though. I think this is going to get an awful lot more attention this year, coming up to E3, during and after E3, than the new Call of Duty is. And fingers crossed for them, it'll go well. We again, more risk taking by EA and by the big publishers, the better. It's the same thing with the remake effectively of Mirror's Edge that they've got coming out in the next month or so. Again, a first-person game with no shooting. Again, it was a surprise with the original Mirror's Edge when EA announced it. The fact that they're making a sequel, particularly considering that game wasn't really a success at launch, is pretty impressive. But for the moment, this is Defub21. If you liked this video, please like it, and let me know your thoughts in the comments. And if you haven't already subscribed, please do so. Things are going to get more and more interesting leading up to E3. I think we're going to get more and more game announcements like this one, preemptive ones, to get the mind share up before they show off more stuff at E3. I'm sure we'll get gameplay at E3. It'll be very interesting. But yeah, if the game looks anything like that in a real-world environment, it's going to be on very high-end PC hardware, maybe on PS4K, maybe. There's no way the existing PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One can do visuals at that level. Anyway, this is Defub21. Signing off.